There was a version of you that trusted easily. You may have almost forgotten them. The version that reached out first, without rehearsing whether it was a good idea. That said the true thing in a conversation, not the safe thing. That assumed, without needing much evidence, that the people around you meant well and showed up accordingly. Fully, warmly, in that open, specific way that most people reserve for moments when they feel completely certain they won't be hurt. You were not certain. You went anyway. And something happened to that version of you. Not a single event, usually. Not one dramatic betrayal that can be pointed to and named as the moment everything changed. Something slower. A pattern of smaller things accumulating. Warmth offered and not returned. Openness received and not protected. This is not a new experience. It is, if you are honest, one of the most familiar experiences you have. The thought that goes further than the room it was offered in. The question that most people find interesting for about 30 seconds before their attention slides to something more manageable. The conversation that you could see had 6 more directions it could go. No one closes all at once. The closing is a process, and it begins not with a decision, but with a pattern. The pattern goes like this. You are open with someone. You offer something real, a feeling, a truth, a part of yourself that is not usually visible. And the response is not what the offering deserved. Not cruel necessarily, not intentionally dismissive, but insufficient, careless, in that specific way that suggests the thing you offered was not registered as significant. You file this, not consciously, but somewhere in the architecture of how you move through the world, a small adjustment is made. The next time, you offer slightly less. You wait a moment longer before saying the true thing. You watch, briefly, before you trust. And if the pattern repeats, if openness, offered again and again, continues to return with less than it cost, the adjustments compound. The waiting becomes habitual. There is a specific cost to having been open in places that were not careful with openness. It is not just the individual hurt of each moment. It is what those moments collectively teach. They teach that the version of you which offers things freely is the version that gets taken advantage of. That the part of you which says the true thing is the part that gets used against you, or ignored, or treated as raw material for someone else's comfort without reciprocation. That being fully present in a relationship, bringing your whole self, not the edited version, is a risk that the other person did not sign up to match. And so, that version of you gets associated, through no single dramatic event, but through accumulated pattern, with a specific outcome. Openness equals exposure. Warmth equals cost. Trust equals a transaction in which you reliably gave more than you received. The mind is efficient. It learns. And what it learned through all of this is that the open version of you was the vulnerable version, and vulnerability in the environments that shaped you was not something that was honored. There are things that clear seeing costs. They are not small things. The first is social. Because optimism is not just a cognitive style, it is a social expectation. The person who consistently provides the accurate but uncomfortable reading of situations becomes, over time, difficult to be around for people who have decided that certain things are better left unexamined. You are the one who says it out loud, and saying it out loud, in rooms that have agreed not to, makes you the problem in the room. The second cost is the specific exhaustion of carrying information that no one around you wants to hold. Because you see what is wrong, and you are often right. And the people who dismissed your reading of it will, frequently, arrive later at the same conclusion, but later, and with more damage done because the earlier seeing was not acted on. You will have the private, bitter experience of having been right in a way that helped no one. This happens enough times that it produces something. Not paranoia, but a particular kind of fatigue. There is a specific loneliness that belongs to the person who sees clearly in a room full of people who have decided not to. It is not the loneliness of being alone. It is the loneliness of being in the room and knowing something the room does not want to know. Of watching a situation develop in the direction you could see it developing from the beginning, unable to intervene because the intervention would require the room to acknowledge what it is looking away from. The most honest person in a room is almost never the most comfortable one. They carry the information that would disrupt the version of events everyone has agreed on. They are aware of it. They know it would help to say it. And they have learned, through specific and repeated experience, that saying it produces a response that is more often resentment than gratitude.